lot going on right now. The breaking news tonight is that Paul Manafort reportedly sought a plea deal for the upcoming trial in Washington. There's also fallout from Michael Cohen's own guilty plea tonight. That dramatic plea by the president's former lawyer implicates the president in a campaign crime. That makes Stormy Daniels a witness to that crime, and now she says she'd be happy to testify about it to Congress. And because the Cohen criminal case is resolved, that also removes a maneuver that Cohen was using to try to duck depositions in, remember, the original civil case with Stormy Daniels. And now her attorney, Michael Avenatti, says Cohen and Trump must go ahead and sit for depositions in that case. Michael Avenatti joins me live right now. He's been exploring a run for president against Donald Trump. Now, Michael, you have previously argued that this tactic in court by Cohen was not going to deter you from going forward with this case, and that has now become apparent. Take a look.
We're going to see this to conclusion, whether it's next week, next month, next year, no matter how long it takes, we're not going away. To quote the court, that there are gaping holes in the application by Mr. Cohen and Mr. Trump to delay this matter. It has always been our intention to make sure that this case proceeded expeditiously.
There you were making that argument, sir. Explain to us why Michael Cohen pleading makes, in your view, depositions of both him and the president more likely.
Well, Ari, good evening. We've had an application on file with the court since April to take those depositions. The court has delayed ruling on the application because Michael Cohen and his counsel and Donald Trump asked for the stay in the case, basically for the case to be paused pending the criminal investigation. Well, as your viewers all know, the investigation ended last week, at least as it relates to Michael Cohen. He pled guilty to 8 counts, 1 count going directly to the allegations in our complaint. We have a hearing now on September 10th. We're going to ask that the stay be lifted and that the court rule immediately on our application to depose Michael Cohen and Donald Trump forthwith.
And what do you see as the value to the case? Many people in the country would be interested in that, as you well know. But what is the value to the case of getting the president under oath if, by this time, much of this has already come out? Michael Cohen has pled to there being a campaign crime, and it doesn't seem there's much doubt left about the underlying relationship.
Well, there's significant doubt left. Well, at least not in my mind there's doubt, but we want to prove by way of testimony and evidence, Ari, exactly what Donald Trump knew, what he did about it, how he conspired with Michael Cohen to cover it up, how the payments were made. There's many, many details and facts that have yet to be disclosed to the American people, all of which go directly to the allegations in our complaint. I mean, Michael Cohen's statements in open court certainly were very helpful to our case, certainly disclosed some general information to the American public, but we want to know the details of exactly what happened, and more importantly, we want to show that Donald Trump was complicit in this conduct and how he should face significant liability for the conduct.
If Michael Cohen confesses that the payment to Stormy Daniels was a crime, couldn't you argue that just voids the whole contract and end the case?
Well, I think you could argue that, but we don't know that Donald Trump will go along with that. In fact, it appears that he's going to fight that, and he's going to claim that Michael Cohen's lying, that Michael Cohen's not credible, which furthers our effort to depose the president under oath and get his testimony on these subjects under oath.
Now, while I have you, you are known to some as a reasonably effective lawyer. Is that fair to say?
Sometimes, yeah.
So we wonder what your legal view is of another potential adversary of yours, at least someone who's more on the other side of all this, Paul Manafort, who, as you know, like Michael Cohen, faces tremendous pressure. And it would appear from this new Wall Street Journal report tonight, the pressure of some kind is getting to him. Your view of that, does that surprise you? Do you think it would be wise for Paul Manafort as a legal matter to plead in the D.C. case? Your reaction?
Well, I think it would be wise. But, Ari, the problem is, you know, these players are waiting too long in the game to come to their senses. I mean, I think we saw that with Michael Cohen. I was stating months ago that he should be making a beeline to the U.S. Attorney's Office and cutting a deal. I think I first said that back in March or April, or in April, I should say. You know, he was late to the party. And now you have Paul Manafort, who allowed a jury to come back with a verdict in Virginia before he is cutting a deal with Mueller and others. I mean, that's a mistake. I don't know that he's in a very good leverage position or negotiating position in light of the verdict.
So how do you explain it? He has a law degree from Georgetown, plenty good school. He waited until, as you say, the jury deliberation to discuss these plea potential, as the Wall Street Journal reporter was explaining to us just moments ago on this news story. How do you explain it? Ego?
Well, I think it's ego. He overplayed his hand, you know, and I mean, I've been doing this for nearly 2 decades, and rationality does not always rule the day. And I think it was ego, and I think that he thought he had a better defense case than he did. And now he's in a very difficult spot. I mean, if you're Bob Mueller, why are you going to give this guy much credence, or why are you going to cut a deal with him in light of the verdict you just got in Virginia?
Right. I also have to ask you about something you were just reported as saying. You've been going around raising a lot of speculation about a potential bid for public office. Here we have you speaking to The Hollywood Reporter and saying people in Hollywood have been very encouraging and excited about the prospect of you running for president in 2020. Do you see yourself first and foremost as the candidate of Hollywood?
No, not at all, Ari. I mean, I think the support in Los Angeles has obviously been good, but I'm hanging my hat more on the support that I've received in Iowa, 2 trips to that state, Ohio, 2 trips there, Florida, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania. I've been very flattered and humbled by the outpouring of support and enthusiasm for my potential candidacy. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but what I do know is this. In the event that Donald Trump is still in office in 2020, the Democrats better nominate a fighter and somebody that is engaged and can engage in a brutal cage match, because we've got a lot at stake in this country.
Well, let me close with one more tough question. I know you can handle the tough questions. What do you say to critics who look at these developments and hear you talking about Iowa and think, okay, did you just want to be on TV in order to run for president, or are you going to keep running for president potentially to stay on TV?
No, my TV appearances have had nothing to do with a potential run for the presidency, Ari. And in fact, I think if you look at last week's developments in the Michael Cohen case, it's tough to argue with the approach that we've utilized over the last 5 to 6 months. I think it's worked incredibly well, and a lot of the critics appear to have disappeared since that plea agreement with Michael Cohen. And I predict that when we get the deposition of Michael Cohen and Donald Trump, we're going to hear more crickets from those critics.
Well, it's an interesting framework you provide. You are the lawyer. Stormy Daniels is your client. Michael Cohen was the lawyer. He's pled guilty. Donald Trump was his client. And so we can continue to publicly track how the 2 of you and the 2 of them are doing and judge the legal strategies accordingly. Michael Avenatti, appreciate you coming on The Beat.
Thanks, Ari.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.